All right, today we're jumping into a story that's, well, it's one of the most powerful ever written. Charles Dickens's Oliver Twist. It's a book that really peeled back the curtain on the brutal reality of poverty, and it asks this huge question about good versus evil that we're still wrestling with today.
Please, sir, I want some more. I mean, you know that line, right? It's one of the most famous in all of literature. And it sounds so simple, just a desperate plea from a starving kid. But believe it or not, that quiet request, it was basically an act of rebellion that was about to change absolutely everything for him.
So how on earth did those 6 little words kick off such a dangerous adventure? How did it send this young orphan from the awful halls of a workhouse straight into the criminal underworld of Victorian London? Well, let's get into it and see how it all started.
All right, to really understand Oliver's story, we've got to go right back to the beginning. And just a heads up, it is pretty bleak.
So, our story starts with Oliver Twist. He's an orphan, born in a workhouse in 1830s England. And you have to understand, this was a world that had almost zero kindness for a boy like him. He was born into a system that wasn't designed to help the poor, but pretty much to punish them for being poor. From the moment he's born, the odds are just completely, totally stacked against him.
And here's the thing about Oliver. He's just an innocent, kind kid. But that polite request for a little more food, it completely sealed his fate. That's the real heart of the conflict here. His good nature up against this absolutely brutal world. I mean, asking for more gruel wasn't some big act of defiance. It was just pure, simple desperation. And for that, he gets punished, sold off, and has to literally run for his life.
So what was this place he was so desperate to escape from? Let's take a closer look at what a workhouse actually was, because it's key to understanding his whole story. Okay, so a workhouse, it was a place where if you were poor or an orphan or sick, you were sent to live. In exchange for a roof over your head, you had to do hard labor. And here's the crucial part. They were designed to be awful. It wasn't an accident. This was all because of something called the New Poor Law of 1834, which basically made the conditions so horrible that people would do anything to stay out of them. But for a kid like Oliver, he had no choice. And the cruelty was just built into the system. The second you walked in, families were split up, kids got this really basic education, usually from teachers who were just plain cruel. The work was absolutely grueling, and the food, well, it was just barely enough to keep you from starving. This wasn't a safety net, not at all. It was basically a prison, and it was designed to break your spirit. And when we say grueling labor, we mean it. The work was just relentless and dehumanizing. For the men, you're talking back-breaking stuff like breaking stones or grinding corn by hand. For the women, it was endless cycles of laundry, sewing, and scrubbing floors. It was just a life of pure, exhausting, nonstop work. So, Oliver manages to escape this horrible life. He runs away and makes it all the way to London, this huge, chaotic city. You know, he's probably hoping for a fresh start, a better future, but what he finds instead is something way more dangerous. So there he is in London, totally alone, starving. He's a pretty easy target, right? And that's when he meets this kid, a super street smart boy who goes by the name of the Artful Dodger. The Dodger offers him food, a place to stay, and for the first time in a long time, Oliver feels this tiny little glimmer of hope. Yeah, about that hope. This new family the Dodger brings him to, it's actually a gang of kid pickpockets. The leader is this guy Fagin. He's incredibly cunning and greedy, and his whole deal is tricking homeless kids like Oliver into stealing for him. And the muscle of the operation, that's the violent and cruel Bill Sykes. It's like Oliver's just escaped one prison, only to walk right into another one. And it's right here, in this criminal underworld, that the novel's biggest theme really starts to shine. This constant battle between kindness and cruelty, between good and evil. And we see it play out inside the characters themselves. This really is the big question at the heart of the whole story, isn't it? In a city that's so full of darkness, can just one person's kindness actually change a life? Because right when it seems like Oliver is completely lost, a little ray of light finally appears. And Dickens is just a master of using contrast to make his point. On one side, you've got Fagin, cunning, greedy, a guy who sees kids as nothing more than tools to make money.
But on the complete opposite side, you have Mr. Brownlow. He's this kind, wise gentleman who sees the good in Oliver right away and gives him the first real safe home he's ever had. But things aren't always so black and white, right? Even inside Fagin's gang, you see this incredible moral conflict. You've got Bill Sykes, who is just pure evil, violent, cruel, totally selfish. And then you have Nancy. She's part of the gang, she's loyal to Sykes, but underneath it all, she's compassionate and incredibly brave. Honestly, Nancy is the tragic heart of this whole story. She is completely torn between her loyalty to this cruel world she's stuck in and her gut feeling that she has to do the right thing and help Oliver. She's a good person trapped in a terrible, impossible situation. And her choice to help him, knowing full well it could cost her her life, is just one of the most powerful and heartbreaking parts of the entire book. So all of this conflict, all this tension, it all comes to a head in the story's really dramatic ending. And it's here that we see what the book's real message is. Okay, so here's how it all plays out in the end. It's a total reckoning. First, Nancy risks everything to save Oliver. Because of that, Bill Sykes brutally murders her. But her sacrifice isn't for nothing. It sets off a whole chain reaction. The whole gang collapses. Sykes dies a pretty tragic death while he's on the run, and Fagin gets arrested. And through all that horror, Oliver is finally truly safe, adopted by Mr. Brownlow. So what's the big message we're supposed to get from all this? Well, Dickens is screaming from the rooftops that kindness, even a little bit of it, is incredibly important, especially in a cruel world. He's showing us that we always have the power to make moral choices, even when it's really, really hard. And maybe most importantly, that true family isn't about blood. It's about love and support.
So at the end of the day, Oliver Twist is so much more than just a kid's adventure story. It's a huge critique of a society that was totally failing its most vulnerable people. And it's this amazing testament to the idea that a person's good nature, their inner spirit, can actually survive almost anything. Oliver's whole journey really shows us the power of resilience, doesn't it? It proves that even when the whole world seems designed to crush you, just one person's refusal to give up can be, well, revolutionary. And it kind of makes you wonder, right? What injustices are we maybe blind to in our own world today? And where are the modern-day Olivers, just quietly asking for a little bit more?